Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on today, the 16th of August, 2015. How is everyone doing out there? And Ken, how are you today?
Hello, sir. I am pretty well. I'm pretty good. It's weird hearing the original Show X music after the past few weeks of it being constantly the Scottish version. So it's a little bit strange hearing that. I forgot that we'd be moving back to the normal one today, so that was a bit of a shock there. But yeah, everything's good. The sun's actually shining in Scotland, as I sent a Snapchat yesterday, I think, with me looking into the sky and saying, "What is that fiery ball doing up there? What is that thing? I don't recognize that. What is that?" So it's been quite nice weather, and yeah, good moods over here. I'm pretty happy, pretty good mood. How about yourself? How are you doing?
I am equally, I will say, enjoying the sun. I have been hiding from it the last couple of weeks, because I've been in areas where it's quite warm. Oh my goodness, has it been hot. In fact, I do need to give a shout out right now at the top of the show to where I'm at broadcasting right now. And while you may not be able to see it well in the video wall because you just see a random office space behind me, I am in a maker space out here in Temecula, California right now while on the road. And so I am talking to you from Old Town, or just next to Old Town, Temecula, which is essentially wine country out here in California, another wine country. Most people are probably familiar with Napa Valley, which is up north of San Francisco. Where I'm at is essentially east of San Diego and LA. If you were to kind of connect the two of those and head straight east, that's where I'm at. And why I'm out here, which I'll get into later, but as I was running around, I had a hotel room that unfortunately I would have had to be checking out of in essentially about an hour from now. And so I thought, well, instead of trying to do a short show and then sneak out of here just in time to get all legally out and about, maybe I could find another place that I could host a show from. Well, I happened to be out when I was waiting for things to get ridiculous, or because it was so hot, I was trying to stay out of the sun. And yes, gnome-wise, I understand you when you say it's 100 and yes degrees out there in Arizona. It's equally that out here in Temecula. It's supposed to get up to 102 today, which for all of you in Celsius land, it is currently 36 degrees C right now, and it may get up to 38. And so, yeah, it is melt you and have sweat rolling off all those little underparts of your body. Kind of hot out right now. So I feel you, Gnome. I sympathize right now. But anyhow, I was looking around. I was having the ice cream at this lovely local shop. It's one of those great things. Get online, get on my Google Maps, and kind of just search around for areas that are local, because if I'm traveling, I should try out some local cuisine and such. And trying to find something that was a way to beat the heat. So I found this cool little ice cream shop. And while I was there, I purposely sat down in the corner where I could see, like, up on the wall, they had a bulletin board full of all these little local ads and things like that. And on them, one of the things I saw was this little paper for CreatorSpace, which, for those who don't know what those are, essentially they're maker spaces. This one's specifically called CreatorSpace, and you can check out their website at CreatorSpace.us, which I'm posting it in the IRC for everyone, if you would like to see what they are about. And yes, this is unfortunately one of those things where you kind of have to be in the area to use it, because the whole point is this is a building that's set up with multiple location spots throughout it that have all kinds of supplies and tools for people to create things. So I'm upstairs right now, which heat-wise is probably an issue, but it's also quiet right now because this is the sewing room. And here is where they basically have tables set up, sewing machines, and a bunch of costuming things up here for people to create things. There's whole swaths of fabric back in the next room. There's a couple dress forms off in the corner with costumes on them. Essentially, this would be one of those things that Copy would go nuts over, because they have all this space and room and supplies and expertise for people to learn how to sew and make costumes. Downstairs, when you come in, they have a whole room filled with tools and equipment and bins full of electronics. In fact, the gentleman running CreatorSpace here, Mark, who was nice enough to let me in and basically steal off their Wi-Fi, he's running a class right now about Arduino and how to program and create things with Arduinos. So that's something I thought also, Ken, you would appreciate, right?
Yeah, that is pretty cool. My main experience with Arduinos is looking into them as biohacks. So I think a couple of guys in the world now have actually put them underneath their own skin in order to use it as a sort of medium between biology and technology. And the idea is it can monitor your health, or I don't know, whatever you feel like monitoring. But you have diabetes and you want to monitor your blood sugar in real time, monitor other technology within your body, for example, item ray inside your heart, making sure it beats correctly, like a pacemaker, other such things and stuff like that. So Arduinos are powerful little bits of kit, so it's pretty cool to get to have a class to play with them. I'm quite jealous. If it was in my area, I would definitely be taking part in that.
Well, and it's almost one of the things where it's like, oh, screw the show, I want to go learn about this. But no, I am here. And so it's great to see that actually happening. And also in that room, they've got laser engravers, they've got routers, they've got drill presses, they've got welding kits, they've got 3D printers, they've got all of these things to kind of create pretty much anything you could ever hope to want. And so this is just for anyone who does crafting, and especially at this level of just creating new things, these are the kind of spaces you want. And it's essentially free to come. I think there's a membership thing that allows you to do more with it, but it's just come here, check it out, and be part of this space. So if you're ever in the area, check out the CreatorSpace.us. It's just one of those things. You could always stop in and share the information, but definitely check it out, share it with your friends, let other people know about this. If you know anyone else in kind of that in Southern California that might be interested. So thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, CreatorSpace. This is really an awesome location. And it's California, so they have good internets, I will tell you. You know, not massive, but for a remote location, theirs is really solid. Another thing I want to get off right at the top of the show is that our sister organization and good friends over at Alpha Geek Radio are doing a drive right now via Patreon. I believe it is. If I'd have to double check, is it Patreon or is it a different one? It's one of the crowdsourcing funding efforts. Maybe it's not a Patreon. I forget which one it is. GoFundMe, Patreon, so on. Regardless, the link, as Nomwise has already put in the IRC, is tinyurl.com/alphageekupgrade. And we want to support them because guess what? We're broadcasting right now live both on VTWProductions.com and on Alpha Geek Radio. So what do you get if you help out the efforts? Well, this is for a fund to upgrade their server, and they're well within striking distance of the funding. And so with this, they're looking at trying to do things that will allow better interaction with things like TuneIn Radio apps for everywhere. Twitch TV, YouTube Live, Roku boxes, Amazon Fire TV, Amazon Echo, all of these places where you'll be able to catch up and see any of the shows on Alpha Geek Radio. Amazon Echo, Apple TV, tablets and phablets and phones, oh my! Smart TVs, dumb TVs with the right devices connected. You get the idea, all the things, all without requiring any extra computing power or bandwidth needed on my end as a broadcaster. So if you are interested in supporting everything on Alpha Geek Radio and making it bigger, thank you, Nomwise. Indiegogo, I see there's too many ways to do it, so theirs is an Indiegogo site. But check out their Alpha Geek Upgrade, tinyurl.com/Alpha Geek Upgrade. Feel free to donate whatever you can, and you'll be helping out all the shows that broadcast via Alpha Geek Radio, including ours, Show X. So check that out. If you've got a few extra pennies aside, you might want to throw it Gnomewise's side so he can get all the shiny equipment. All right. What else do we need to do right at the beginning? Haha, thank you. This one comes from Ken reminding me, and I had this on my own phone, but today is a birthday, and a birthday that of someone that is dear to the show and we haven't heard from for far too long. But today is a birthday shout-out to the Mistress of Giggles out there in the shiny north of Norway. So happy birthday,
Jeez, that's a
Mog.
flashback, isn't it? Yeah, happy birthday, Mog. That's I remember we used to do a few shows with Mog back in the day. Actually, Octail would join in with Mog, and you guys especially back in the ONH days. Mog would jump in quite frequently.
All the time.
Yeah, so that's one hell of a shout out to a fantastic lady. So happy birthday.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, I think it's officially time I can go ahead and hit the button and say it's time for us to officially talk about. So, Ken, what have you been doing that hasn't been geeky this week, sir?
Well, my man, first of all, in my notes is the most important thing in descending order. First of all is fantastic mustache, Mr. Wayne. I think it's kind of important that I say that in front of everybody on the internet, is that you have an absolutely fantastic mustache. It is both very manly and very dashing.
Yeah. Well, of course, everyone should know, if you see me on air with a stash, it must mean I've done something recently, because I only have the stash when I do a certain thing. So
Yes.
it's kind of one of those...
Your porno stash, yes.
Brown chicken, brown cow. No. Yeah, I only throw out the stash when I do something like a cosplay, and usually a very specific one. But I will get into that later.
Or to throw off the cops. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my lovely wife, Miss Kitten Features, because I would not be here if it was not for her today, because she has taken over my shift at the bar, and so I am not working tonight, and she is instead, so that I could deliver the show. I've been scheduled onto the rota twice more on Sunday nights in the next month, which is really, really frustrating. But I'm trying to work it out by making deals with other people, or just trying to convince the manager that it's a good idea to let me have Sunday nights off from now on. But it's very difficult when I'm already a complete pain in the ass to the bar, because I'm doing my uni stuff as well. So I'm constantly saying, hey, I can't make Monday afternoon, Wednesday morning, and Friday evening. And I already do that like 3 or 4 times a week. So if I try to add in Sundays as well, it's pretty much saying, I can only work 2 shifts and I will not be flexible. I am the worst employee ever. So sadly, the show is not the #1 priority when it comes to when it's work or the show, you know? Sadly. So I will try my hardest to make every show. I managed to do it today, which is good. Again, all thanks to Kitten Features, so thanks to her. And I'll continue to try and do so in the future. Keep your eyes out for that. But hey, it's about time you paid me back for the last show that was all Ken all the time.
Well, and
Which, by the way, in TeamSpeak, people kept saying afterwards, they were congratulating me for the show running so smoothly. And I was like, well, it's 2 things. 1, I am fantastic, of course. Second, it's very difficult to mess up when I'm only doing audio streaming. I'm not doing video, I wasn't doing AGR. It was just plain old classic podcasting, and shoutcasting, I suppose. Because my poor bandwidths can't handle it. So.
And for those who are watching the video stream, you'll also see that is still somewhat a challenge, since we have, instead of a live Ken on the video feed, it's a slideshowed Ken. And so, for whatever reason, your computers do not like to do everything they're supposed to?
Yeah, you'd think that when I'm supposed to become a doctor in this field in a couple of years, I should know a thing or two about it, and yet my USB camera hasn't worked for like a month and a half now, which is a very embarrassing thing. I should actually put some time into trying to fix it.
Well, so it's funny, when my original Microsoft camera I was running did that, I kept thinking it had to be software on my end or something like that, and finally I just got so fed up, I went to the candy store and just picked up a new Logitech video camera, plugged it in, and it was like magic, it all worked. And so I found at that point it was actually the camera that had failed on me and not my device.
But I just got this camera like a year and a half ago. My webcam before that in fact, I've still got the webcam from before, but it was the one that I used on MSN Messenger back in Windows 98. So just to give you an idea of how old that webcam is, it still works. I used to use it for the video wall, actually, the Google Hangout. So I could always go back to that, but that'd be comedic, wouldn't it? I might have to try and find it.
That's just as a way, if nothing else, but to check what it is that's actually broken, because I was a little surprised when it was my hardware that failed. That's not normally the case.
Yeah, it's true. That is rare. Engineers tend to do their jobs correctly. It's us programmers that mess it up. So, I've got some cool news as well. Maybe we'll see. It's kind of it's a good opportunity. So you know how right now I'm busy as all hell. I do 2 jobs. I work full-time PhD at uni, so in theory 40 hours a week, but it tends to be more than that because, I'm not smart enough to be able to fit into 40 hours. It tends to be a bit more than that, so I can make do. I also work in a bar, and I do, depends, between 10 to 20 hours usually a week as well. Although in my first couple of weeks there, it was more like 30 to 40. So it's been some crazy amount of hours I do. I tend to get up in the morning, go to uni all day, then go to the bar at night, and then go to bed. I don't tend to have any free time. But it's okay because it means I actually have spare money, so I can do things like shell out on these new headphones I'm using, for example. Which is nice.
Yay!
Yeah. But the cool news is, even though I use all my time already on like adult things, I'm going to be doing that a bit more. I have somewhat accepted an opportunity to try and do enough research to be published this November. So I'll be a guest author on my first ever paper this November if I get research done, results written up, and etc., all done. If basically, I was told, if you can fix a problem that's plagued computing scientists since the dawn of time, then you can be on this paper. And
So, nothing major.
Nothing major, no. Research like this usually takes a couple of years, maybe a year, or maybe at least 6 months. I've got 3 as well, so it's going to be pretty tough to try and do it along with all the other responsibilities I have in my life. So I'm just challenging myself here, seeing what I can do, I guess. I really want to make this a priority, though, because being published within my first year of doing research, it would be pretty impressive to myself, if nobody else.
It could look good, yes.
Yeah, so I'm trying not to accept praise on this yet because I've always
Since you haven't actually done it yet.
Exactly. The problem is when people say like, "Oh, I've decided I'm going to lose weight for the summer." If somebody says to you, "Oh, good for you," you already get the release of endorphins in your system that say, "Well done, you've done your thing," and then you feel like you're done. Like, and I talked to a psychologist about this before. That's how I actually know this is a thing. Well, at least a theory anyway. That if you get reward before doing the action, you're less likely to do the action. So if you say, "I have a plan to go do these amazing things in my life," and somebody goes, "Good for you," you're less likely to do the thing. So nobody tell me good. Nobody tell me well done. I'm just gonna go and do it. Okay.
What we need to say is, great. We'll see when you actually get it done, then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting cultural thing. I mean, I was talking about this with some friends the other day about Japan and China and the sort of Oriental cultures versus our own. In school, we're very much of the opinion where so long as people are happy, happiness is the main thing. If you're last in the class, don't worry, you'll still get an award for taking part. So long as the kid's happy and doesn't want to isn't depressed. And anti-bullying and everything. Whereas in like a lot of the Eastern countries, they have a kind of an opposite culture where they actually merit people for merit.
You mean for the things you do and accomplish?
Yeah. But they do it to the extreme. So a lot of the time, like if you go home and you say, "Hey, Dad, look, I got an A on my test. I got 95%." He'd smack you and say, "Why didn't you get 100%? You suck." You know? And so it's an interesting difference in cultures, and it reminds me of this a little bit. So I'm going to try and shell out some work for November, and if I do get through, great, then I'll accept all the praise, and until then, I'm just going to start whipping myself over the back and see what I can do. But it's pretty exciting regardless. I'm looking forward to trying my hand at real research rather than all this other stuff I've been doing so far. So my final point that I want to talk about, and this one, I got to be careful how I mention this. I hate politics, but I got to be careful. So, I was talking to a gentleman in a random place in the past week who is a very pro-Scottish nationalist. So somebody who is very pro-independence, and he's an older gent as well, and he said to me, look, he was like, I don't think you'd support... He was quite drunk at the time, this gentleman. And he said to me, "I don't think you would support an independent Scotland." And I was trying to stay at the conversation. I was sort of saying, well, I don't really want to talk about politics with this kind of thing, sir. I'm just trying to do the thing I'm doing today. I'm trying to get to work or whatever. And he was like, you're not even Scottish, are you? You don't even care. Where are you from? And I was like, nope, I've was born and raised in Scotland. As far back as my genealogy goes, I'm 128th English, but the other 127 parts of me are Scots. So if I cut off my pinky, I'd probably be a full Scot, if you want to look at it that way. But yep, I'm definitely Scottish. And this guy started getting really angry at me, and he was challenging me and saying to me, like, "You're not a real Scot. You wouldn't support independent Scotland. What's the point?" And this is the part where it got really bad, and
okay.
I got angry myself. I tried not to, because he was an older guy and he clearly had a few drinks, and he said to me, when I fought in the last war, I think he was in Vietnam or something, I don't know, or the Gulf, and he said to me, when I fought in the last war, I fought alongside the Englishmen, and I wish to this day, my biggest regret is I didn't turn it on them then.
Wow.
So he basically said to me, I wish I shot more English people. I wish I shot more of my colleagues, my brothers in arms, at the time when we were defending each other. And it was like, holy crap, man. How can you let yourself say that? Now, as somebody who has a very small amount of knowledge about British Army and the likes, I do know that when you join any sect of the Army, from a small cadet all the way to being a brigadier general, whatever you do, you take up an oath, not only to your country, but to the Queen as well. And you say, I will lay down my life for the Queen, for my brothers in arms, for the families at home, yada, 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 for the royal family, for all the stuff that you know, most people would join the army for. The reason that people would fight is to defend their homeland and their people, right? And to then, afterwards, to then say, I wish I shot my brothers in arms, is the single most disrespectful thing I think anybody could say. I mean, taking aside the fact the guy was attacking me for my political stance, which is fine, in theory, if I was willing to talk about it, which I wasn't trying to, because I knew the gentleman had a few drinks, and I didn't want to have this kind of a situation that happened.
You had some idea where it would go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind debating in a normal conversation between two equals. But when it's one aggravated drunk man against a younger and healthier and bigger guy, I was like, I don't want to get in any sort of predicament here. If this guy is going to be as aggressive as he seems to be, and he was in his 60s or 70s, this chap, I was like, I don't want to get into the point where I have to do anything, get out of his way or whatever. Because, you know, he's an older guy. I got to have respect for the fact that, you know, anything I do that is more than just trying to not get myself hurt and try not to get him hurt is seen as an extremely illegal thing, you know, because it would be bad if I got into some kind of fist fight with an old man, you know. So I just tried to not have the conversation whatsoever because I could see how angry he was getting. And the worst thing about the whole thing is I didn't even tell him my political stance. I didn't tell him at all what I voted for in the independence vote, in the referendum. I didn't tell him who I voted for, which parties I voted for, what my beliefs are in general democratic governments or anything. And he just assumed, probably by the tone and the accent in my voice, which is not entirely Scottish anymore, as he could definitely tell, he assumed that I was some posh guy who is anti-Scottish and I'm trying to destroy his legacy. And it was just like, dude, chill out. I'm just a guy here. I have done nothing to you. I have done absolutely nothing. So, in conclusion, I definitely prefer having the problems with the older ladies in town where they get on to me for picking up dog poop versus having old men try and
fight you, essentially?
He didn't try to fight me, but he was certainly trying to bait himself almost into fighting me. And why does this stuff keep happening to me? I mean, why do people feel the need to be so arrogant and so say such horrible things to people they don't even know? It's just such a horrible state of society.
Well, when I say trying to fight,
we allow people to get so drunk and do these kind of things.
People who get drunk, like, there's those people that can't control how they act when they're on certain things. And so it's that old-fashioned thing I say where I don't hang out with people I know get angry when they get drunk and choose to want to fight and prove themselves. Those are people that I don't do anything with because I don't want that in my life and I don't want to act with it. So, yeah, and that sounds like that kind of personality, not knowing if it is or not, but it just seemed awfully like that. So,
Noodle in the Irish, he says, I have no experience with this level of nationalism. Everyone I know just nods and says, yeah, Canada's pretty good. Pretty good, eh?
Yeah, it's until you have to go to the rest of the world and apologize for us Americans.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I actually had two gents in the bar this week who said to me, well, I heard them in the conversation saying, what language do they speak in Canada? And the other guy responded saying, I think they all speak French. And I and I was like, wow, if any random Canadian was in this bar right now, they'd probably be getting violent right now.
No.
Because that's just so ignorant.
No, because Canadians don't get violent. That's the key. They would just smile and
they'd
nod and be
apologize
like,
profusely to them.
They'd be like, oh, no, sorry. Yeah, no, it's Canadians are too damn nice.
Yeah, that's true.
As we have our multiple Canadians in the IRC listening in.
But yeah, that's been my strange week so far. You know, I love debating nationalism and stuff, and I really do wish I could do it in a more formal environment where we can actually talk the pros and cons in an intelligent debate with respect for one another. The problem is when people think, oh, I've had a few drinks, now is the time to discuss the world's problems, you know? It's like when you see girlfriends and boyfriends on the street and husbands and wives having major fights after having a few drinks. It's like, why don't you just save it when you're sober and can talk about it without emotion?
But Ken, don't you know that when you are drinking is when you solve all of the world's problems?
Apparently so. I wonder if there's any merit to that. I'd love to see a study if they can get, like, I don't know, Parliament together and force everybody to do 5 tequila shots at the start. And then to do the same thing again the next day without the tequila shots. See what happens, how many bills get resolved, etc. But anyway, yes, that's been my tangential week.
All right.
What have you been up to, sir? What have you been up to?
Oh, geez. So, travel. Travel is pretty much what my life has been for the last couple of weeks, and the reason I wasn't on the show last week. So, last week, to catch people up, I was doing a ninja retreat. Essentially, I had gone from several days of a conference that I did for work, and then
why did I thought ninjas would never retreat though? I thought they would always like sort of advance into battle. I thought they were sort of, you know.
Oh no, that is a big misconception. That's samurai. You're thinking samurai. Samurai, who are the ones who are going to run forward and die for their emperor. Ninja are going to find the way to get the work done. And if that means, you know, retreating because they're otherwise going to just die, then retreat, go and fight a different day when they have an advantage. Ninjas like to live.
That's a good standpoint, yeah. Solid.
I mean, they still have honor, but they realize that they're fighting for the greater good, and therefore staying alive and fighting for it's much better than laying down your life for it. But as we continue, yeah, I was out and essentially somewhere in the mountains of North Carolina, which we keep somewhat to ourselves. There's a gentleman out there who has provided a bit of land for those of us who are studying in Toshindo to get together and once a year do essentially a camping trip where you immerse yourself in nothing but training techniques and concepts about being a ninja. And so we were out on the mountain in humid and warm North Carolina. When I say humid, if people saw some of the videos I posted, it rained pretty much the first couple days we were there, and when we first started driving in, I had gotten there late enough that where we had to drive out to get to where the retreat is, we got there almost midnight, and you know, it was a camping trip, so I have to set up camp out there. But driving in the last couple roads up in this mountain where it's just these narrow roads winding in and out, it looked like a scene. I mean, you could say like a horror movie or something like that, except it was actually pretty tranquil. But it was so many trees and so much humidity that you would be driving, you could see the road in your lights, and then all of a sudden you take a corner, and you just have a wall of fog in front of you. And you basically wouldn't be able to see more than maybe 20 feet in front of the vehicle. And so
I can't say I've ever had that experience in my life.
It's pretty surreal and in a way kind of epic, where we're driving somewhat comfortably and we'd have to like slow down super far because you couldn't see the next turn coming up. And it ended up what helped us probably the best getting there is I had the location we were trying to go on GPS, where it wasn't exactly the location, but I could see all the roads we were traveling on, and following the written directions I could see where we were trying to go. But the GPS was pretty darn accurate on the road we were on. So I was navigating rally style to my friend who was driving to say, coming up on a sharp right corner in like, however many meters or something like that. And it was pretty darn accurate. It worked well. And without that, we might have gone off the road. It was so thick of a fog at points. Anyhow, we got there, and it was raining, I'd say, almost the entire first day. And so set up camp in a moment between storms. And then
oh, jeez.
the first night,
epic.
the first night I ended up sleeping in the car because I didn't want to even try to find a spot in the night while it was raining. Next day, set up camp. And it was just a great weekend where we did multiple times of getting together and doing techniques and working on specific kind of concepts. I was there to help a friend of mine, Casey, who goes to the Boulder Quest Center for Toshindo to demo for his black belt. And so he was going from is that one red black or red brown or brown black? I forget which stripe combinations in his brown belt. But going up to test for his Shodan or his first degree black belt. And in doing so, he worked with another friend of mine, Tony, and I, and we did demo, which basically he got to showcase the techniques he needed to be able to show for that rank. And we set up this great interaction that he scripted it all, and we just had to come basically get beaten up, where I would throw different attacks in order, and he was able to do the proper defenses. And then after that, I stayed on the sidelines, and they had a group of us who were already black belts who became the attacker squads. Because then the next piece of the action was Rendori, which is free response. And having someone who's these candidates for their black belts to stand in the middle of essentially an open arena, and the way it was set up here is just kind of mulchy, muddy, soft, just kind of cleared out area, which at first when we looked at it, I was like, oh, this would be nice. And we walked through it and squished down like 8 inches into this where it was like muck through mud. And it was kind of like, oh, this is going to be fun. Which actually, though, I am very thankful for, because we had 21 candidates there, and we had 2 squads of attackers, and each squad had to attack every one of these attackers one at a time. And so they'd call out in the same order they demoed, an attacker to come out, and then they'd say, like, Squad A. And they'd go out, and all of them would start attacking for a period of time, and then Squad B. We'd go out and start attacking for a period of time, and then the person would be done for that, and the next person would come in. Well, each one of those candidates had one group that they had to go against. For us, every one of our groups had to go against all 21 candidates. And so by the end of it, us as attacker squads were really tired.
Oh, I can imagine, yeah.
We were pushing, energetic. Every time they'd call a squad, we'd go rushing out there as fast as we could. And there's some video online of there. The one thing we were supposed to try to not do was like double team them at once, but all of us come in with individual attacks and nice committed, like, go after them, and they had to respond. And there's at least one point where me, as a new character, as one of the attackers, I was going in, I basically just did some jabs at a gal, because we had just been working on defense against kind of a boxer jab. And it was one of the younger gals there who I don't know her age, but she might have been 12 or so. And during the Rendori, I shot the one attack out, which she got out of the way of, but didn't really finish me right away. And it was partially because how mucky and messed up the ground was. So I came in with another one, and I don't know if she slipped or not. All I know is this little gal, my right fist went right square into her jaw and the side of her face. Now, thankfully, through my training, I've learned to dump energy as I need to. So even though I hit her, I didn't like follow through completely. Because if I had, where the angle wasn't match power as I was coming in with, I could have lifted her off her feet, no problem. So I hit, but then I just kind of like let all the energy go and really didn't continue through. At the same time, she just kind of took it, stumbled for a second, and then kept coming. Thank goodness, because I was so worried that I was going to be the guy that like took out this cute little girl in Rendori. And
how old was she about?
I'm guessing 12. I don't know for sure.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Nice thing is later on in the evening, and she was going, I want to say she was going, was she going for a Nidon? I don't know if she was going for her second degree black belt or not. I forget which one she was at. But I finally caught her around the campfire later on and asked her about it, and she's like, oh, I didn't even feel it. And I was just like, whew, thank goodness.
She's hardcore.
Well, and she really was. She was a bad one. And when her instructor or so had seen after the Rendori, and she had mentioned it at one point, saying like, oh yeah, he caught me right in the face. And he said that he saw my fist print in mud on her face. And so he was like, oh yeah, he got you, I can see it.
Oh,
Oh
jeez.
gosh. But anyhow, the overall experience was amazing and something I may have to do every year because I've not had a more immersive martial arts training experience than going up camping and spending 3 days just doing martial arts with a bunch of other ninja up on a mountain. It was amazing. So that was trip number 1, essentially. And I got back for essentially a day because I got back Monday night and then was at work Tuesday. Got able to like switch out clothes, do some laundry, and jump out. And Ken, really? And
What?
what do you mean, what? What am I posting in the IRC? I don't know what you're talking about. Because I don't have that up to look at as well. Evil man. So then I was, like I said, I was at home for all of one day, had to switch out all my laundry, and then first thing Wednesday morning, I flew out to San Diego, California, so I could be here in Temecula to help with my friend's wedding. My old roommate Neil, he and his lovely fiancée Laura were getting married this weekend. And so I decided to come out to San Diego a little bit early because I grew up here essentially back in the day. And first thing I did is I jumped in a rental car and drove up to where I used to grow up out in Penasquitos. And just kind of drove around the old neighborhood, saw the house I had spent 9 years in, drove around the block, and actually was impressed that I had driven to the end of the block, and I saw an older couple hooking up a boat to their truck in front of their house. And I looked, I was like, well, that's the Birdsong's house. That's a house I remembered from when I used to live there and had been there the whole time. And I saw this older couple, and I kind of hung out there on the end of the street for a minute, and I kind of asked, hey, do you need any help? And they're just like, no, I got it. I was like, okay, I got to ask, you don't happen to still be the Birdsongs, are you? Because it had been a few years since I'd seen them last, and I couldn't recall for sure. And sure enough, they're like, yep, that's us. And so I was just like, holy cow, I'm Wayne, do you remember me? I used to live down the street. And they were like, holy cow, yes. And so caught up real briefly with just this couple that had been
cool.
there ever since I lived back on this street. And so I'd say, I essentially had known them, although I hadn't seen them for many years, for 30 plus years. And just, that was amazing to me that one of those families still lives on the street. And apparently one other across the street still lives there as well. So that was really, really neat to me. And I need to go back through and see if I can find more people on Facebook or such. Like a list of people I went through back in high school, or prior to high school, elementary, primary school and such. Also from there, I took a trip around and saw all the old schools that I'd gone to. Just, it's my own little nostalgia piece. See how things had changed. While I was running around, I happened to message some people I knew in the area or had been around there, and I talked to a gal, Amy, that I hadn't seen since middle school. And she's a gal that we jokingly talk about. I dated for essentially like 2 days in middle school, which consisted of me saying, yeah, I'm dating you, and we went over to her house and like listened to the radio a couple times. And that was pretty much the entire relationship.
I think we all did. I think we all did that with a few girls. Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably like my first official, relationship or something like that. Something silly. But anyhow, I chatted with her, and she happened to be home and lived all of about 15 minutes from where I was at checking out the school. So I went over and visited her, and I ended up talking to Amy for like 4 hours about life in general, and got to meet her kids and stuff like that, and just see the family. It was just so cool that someone I hadn't seen since 8th grade. So essentially for 30, well, not quite 30, maybe 26 years or something. I had never seen really or heard from. I got to sit down. We just caught up, which was a ton of fun. So after my whole day of nostalgia, actually I continued because I drove up north then to meet up with my friend Anne, which is one of my childhood's friend Kendall, her mother, almost like a second mom to me. Our families had always lived right next to each other. And so I ended up going to Anne's house for a barbecue, and my friend Aaron, who still lives out in the area and I run into on occasion, came up as well, and so we all got together at Anne's house and had a barbecue. Ton of fun. I had such a great time just seeing all these old people I knew.
It's always a very special kind of feel, isn't it? Like and that nostalgic feeling of seeing all your old friends, and it feels both like a millennium. It's a different lifetimes past, like several lifetimes have passed, and it also feels like no time's passed at all. It's a very rare, it's a very special feeling. That's
when you know you've got really good friends and really good friendships, is when no matter what you do, how long you've been away, you can get together, chat, and it's all like it just never missed a beat. Went from that, stayed the night at Anne's house. Next day, got up, and I headed up north to Irvine, so I just kept traveling further north in California, which is basically just southeast of L.A., and met up with a friend of mine, Jackie, who is someone that I knew out in Denver initially as a cosplayer. I used to hang out in Denver. Her family, she went back to the East Coast for a while, and then now they're out in Irvine, California. And so I got to meet up with her as well and hang out. And since I had a rental car, we kind of just traveled around, checked out some places. I took her to the beach since she's been here for 3 months, hasn't been to the beach yet, which I thought was a travesty. So introduced her to beach life. And we just kind of cruised around all day, hung out with Jackie, grabbed food, stuff like that. And so just I got to do all this like friends and all that kind of stuff before actually having to come out here to Temecula for the wedding. And so I've been just go this entire time.
And tell us with the wedding.
So this kind of blends into my geek cred to a degree.
I can imagine, yep.
So I am going to as we transition over to that, I figure I can transition this part as well and say, so in my geek cred this week, as I now switch us to sunny, hot Temecula, California, which is lovely. It is a gorgeous location. It is wine country, like I said earlier, and so you have vineyards everywhere producing their own local brands of wine. And I ended up staying at this wonderful location, the Suncoast Winery? And I think it's Suncoast. And then the wedding was taking place at Pawnee, which is right next to it, the Pawnee Winery. And people can look at that up, Pawnee Winery in Temecula, California, and you can see where we were at for the wedding. But essentially, if people who know Neil and Laura have heard about them from times I've talked in the past, this all started when Neil originally asked if I would come out to the wedding and be the secondary photographer. I was like, sure, that'd be awesome, not a problem. And then somewhere, gosh, it would have been a month and a half, 2 months ago. Maybe, I forget exactly when they asked. But it might have been longer than that. At some point, Neil came up to me and was kind of like, so, you're coming to the wedding, right? I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally coming. I got the camera ready, not a problem, it'll be great. And he's like, so we're thinking. And Laura, essentially, as Neil said, is like, Laura thought it might be cool. Would you be interested in officiating our wedding? And I was kind of like, oh, okay. And before I answered, he said, and she was wondering, would you be willing to officiate it as your cosplay of Shepherd Book from Firefly? At which point my eyebrow did raise up, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think I can do that. That could be pretty cool. And so I agreed, and I don't know, maybe it's procrastination in me, but so I agreed. I brought my cosplay and basically dressed up as Shepherd Book for the wedding and did officiate it. So I made notes, and I spent essentially like 2 weeks prior trying to, that's unfortunate. Cupcheck saying you can't hear the drop-ins on the YouTube feed. Let me try one again and see what's happening, if that actually comes through. I will say, let me try a, wow, it's not. That's unfortunate. Why isn't it coming through?
Oh, does that mean none of the Sam stuff's going through?
No,
that's weird.
So it should be. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Maybe it's the same reason I can't hear them or anything very well other than you. Try restarting the
well, I wonder if last time I did this, I didn't reroute one of the outputs, and that might have done it, but I'm not sure. But that's a good thing to let me know.
It's done by script, though, isn't it?
Well, but it's where I have information going. Like, where I have... Should be going directly to encoders. Okay, that should be fine. Air out. Output driver. Oh, I should be outputting to... I forget exactly, but... That? No, that's not what I want to do. As I break everything completely. Huh. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that's all right. At least you got our sexy voices, and so we will go through with that.
Yes, main thing.
And if need be, if it's recording how I hope it is, then we'll come back through and do it again. Let's see. Because, yeah, when I actually hit the, like... Well, that one actually went through the audio, at least on the audio stream. So we'll see. I might have to blend the audios back together, play with it. So, grr, almost had this perfect. Almost. At least you guys can hear us. there's that. Anyhow, as we continue, so brought the Shepherd Book cosplay the day before. Met all the family for rehearsal dinner, and hair was out. I still had my goatee, everything like that, and then people just kind of met me. I was like, oh hey, I had a lovely dinner, beautiful location. The food is amazing, awesome. Went in town, run around, stuff afterwards, kind of hanging out. A lot of the people ended up having some drinks and hang out and partying afterwards. I, on the other hand, had to take my friend. She had stayed with me around there, Jackie, for a time, take her home. And so up to Irvine from Temecula is like an hour drive each direction. So by the time I finally got back, I just had to crash. I was not going to be partying. Got up the next day, took time shaving, getting all the stuff done, getting all shepherdized, pulling the hair back, getting it all gray, and getting into costume with that. And it was funny because that next day when I came out looking all fully dressed, people who had met me the night before had no idea it was me. To them, I had changed my look that much that they were just kind of like, oh, hey, so you're the officiant. Okay, nice. And didn't even realize they had met me the day before, including one of my friends I've worked with for a number of years has come to Game Fest and things like that, who walked by, shook his hand, and he was just like, oh, okay, hey. And it wasn't until later that I talked, he actually mentioned, like, oh, dude, I had no idea that was you. And so apparently the cosplay went well. Yeah. But
oh, well done.
Now I say this at the same time, and not that the ceremony I wrote, because that was the last thing. I spent like 2 weeks writing this ceremony, trying to come up with ways to make it, get all the key pieces I need to get to be an official wedding, and yet not make it like so long or drawn out that people get tired of it, and also not so geeky that people wouldn't understand the overall ceremony. I think I was doing some weird off-the-wall thing. Because I still wanted to include a whole bunch of Firefly, or just a little bits in there at least, since that was part of me being Shep. Otherwise, I'm just in a costume, who cares?
Sure, yeah.
So I did include like a couple quotes or little words, although it's crazy. You go to look, and there's all these other sci-fis where people do this, where they'll find quotes and things from characters about love or weddings or something, some examples. Unfortunately, Firefly only being a season long really doesn't have a whole lot to say about love. No memorable quotes about it. So I had to kind of like find one or two little things that were in there, and just from there improvise and just kind of like put my own words in. But the nice thing I heard after the ceremony, because the other thing, I made sure it was quick and such, because it was 107 degrees yesterday, which would be almost 40 degrees C.
Freaking hell.
And that was in the sun, and so, oh gosh, and the event was in the sun. Thankfully, the vineyard or the winery that did it, as they do weddings, and they do it well. They're so coordinated. The gal Christina that runs all the coordination of it was amazing, super professional. It's funny too, as you see her running around with like a basically a radio and a little earpiece in and talking to all the other staff as they're coordinating things. It's just like, what? This is really well done. So professional. But she was great. But they had like parasols set up for any of the guests as they walked down. They could pull those out and kind of shade themselves from the heat, things like that. And we were standing in the middle of it. But anyhow, we walked out, and I basically tried to keep it short and sweet because of the heat. I do have to smack myself, because as generous as everyone was saying that the ceremony was nice, I know I fumbled it a couple times. And I just was nervous enough, I started launching right into what I was saying, and it took the photographer to remind me to actually let the guests sit back down after they watched the bride walk in. Because I just like, they all walked in, standing there, I was just like, all right! I started going, and then I see the photographer in the background going like, hey, let them sit. And I was like, oh, yeah, so you all can sit. Sorry about that. My mistake.
Oh, dude, that's like a funny thing that they'll look back on and sort of like, it's not a bad thing, right? It's the kind of thing to look back fondly and be like, oh yeah, remember how Wayne was a bit nervous and he made everybody stand for it for like a minute, and they'll sort of laugh about it and find that funny. It's not the kind of thing that like he ruined the wedding. That's like, that kind of thing adds to the wedding, if anything.
I guess. Well, everyone said that my nervousness showed I cared, but I figured I could have practiced it more than I did and memorized it to the point where I didn't even have to look at notes, but I couldn't. I just kept going like, and I kept tweaking things up to the last minute. So I had them all written on Google Docs and I was reading them off my phone. But it was nice because it meant even while I was camping, I was able to start working on what I was going to say.
Oh, that's good.
So, yay,
besides,
Google Docs.
Yeah, besides, using your phone is totally fine considering the theme you were playing, you know, kind of spacey.
Well, and I was trying so hard because I was mentioning like one of these logics I have about life that I had gotten from the show Dexter, which I didn't say specifically. I just said, hey, here's something I caught off a show of all places, but I really thought the meaning of it was great, and I talk about my thing about goals and aligning people's goals. But what I was going to talk about, instead of saying I'm getting it from the show, I was going to say I got it from a wave, but I knew that would have been pushing it where people would have been like, I have no idea what he's talking about. I still used like one of Malcolm Reynolds' quote from the movie Serenity about love and a ship and having to love a ship or else it will treat you bad. And then I also did, well, I kind of put in my own pieces where I basically said that with Neil and Laura getting married, there wasn't a more lovely couple in the entire verse that I wouldn't have had the pleasure of and honor of marrying. And so it's funny because I had talked to some people at the reception afterwards that when I had talked about the words, I said a couple of them did recognize me and were like, oh, I totally got that. That was awesome. The majority obviously had not seen Firefly. And so they're like, one of the gals was kind of like, yeah, when you said verse, I thought that was a mistake. And then the other gal in there was like, are you kidding? That's exactly what he would say. And so it was just funny to kind of hear that people who got it understood.
No, that's good. No, dude, you were there for the couple, right? You were there for the guests.
No, it
and
worked
the couple
out.
wanted it to be Firefly themed, and that's what it was. So,
Well,
so that's fine.
To that degree, and that's the thing. That was what was fun about it. Is it's just enough that they were totally down with it, thought it was cool, and like I said, the people that mattered got it, and other people from the crowd that mentioned it were like, boom. And I had all the friends that we had brought in, not just fans, but the friends that come in to see it as well. They all understood, and so I had several. As soon as they showed up, they're like, Shepard, Shepard, how's it going? Instead of saying wait or something. So the people who knew, which was really neat. But yeah, so I got to, and that's my geek cred for the week is I got to officiate a wedding for a friend as Shepherd Book from Firefly. And so now I've taken, I hope, what I could say is my cosplay to another level in that not only did I just cosplay, but I cosplayed as a preacher that also has now in real life officiated a wedding. So, yeah.
Dude, that's freaking cool. Not many people get to say that in their lives, and I think you may be the first one ever to do it as Shepherd. So, well done. That's actually a very impressive feat, and a very, very geeky one. So, well done, sir.
Well, and I'm hoping that there will be photos that come out from the ceremony, so that I can go back to my cosplay group in Colorado and post some of the pictures. Like, hey, here's a thing I did. And just see how people react to that and see if they like it. Because I know...
Oh, they'll be jealous. Yep.
I was pretty jazzed. I thought it was cool. Anyhow, so that's what I've been doing that's been geeky this week. Ken, how about yourself? Other than... Oh, wait. The last piece of that is... So the mobile rig, right? It's working, mostly. Aside from that piece of not throwing anything from Sam over to YouTube, surprisingly. But aside from that, it's neat because... I finally got it to work within Windows 10, so I'm still running Windows 10 on the laptop, and it's so far behaving. Now, there's a challenge, and that is that I'm at the limit of the devices I can have on our SAM license for the actual server, and that's what I'm having to run on this one, so I will probably have to either figure out a new way to do this or purchase a new version of SAM Broadcaster Pro to make sure I have licenses for... at least our equipment.
Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. So although on my main rig, I may not have to. I'm still trying on my main rig to set up a whole new area in a virtual machine since Windows 10 is supposed to be better at it, but a virtual machine that'll still run it on the old license and see how that goes. I just haven't got it finished yet, so hopefully in this next week before I do the show, I'll get that done. I
said, the lovely listeners of the show who are patrons have donated small amounts each month for actually the anniversary is coming up soon for almost a year in a few months.
Nice.
And because of those guys, we've got a nice little amount saved up for events like this where we need to do big upgrades. So we are sorted, sir, if anything like that happens.
I think we actually have just enough. I think we have just enough to actually, if we needed to, buy new licenses of SAM. And like I said, I'm going to try to find ways to work around that, so if nothing else, the money we do have can be used for bigger things for this network, but just in case, since I would like to be able to support everybody on Windows 10, but we'll see how that goes. But so far it's been working, and I'm happy with that, so we'll see. Continue with that or not. Anyhow, sir, it is your turn.
Is most important. Indeed.
Geek cred.
Alrighty. First of all, so I was really, really excited for Fallout Shelter, right? It's something I couldn't wait for. But
yes.
It
Well, you say that because
Android,
it's out for Android now because that's the game. It
finally,
came out for,
yeah. Only just though, it came out this week, and so I was pretty jazzed for it. I was like, oh man, finally I get this sweet taste of Fallout 4 and how it's going to be, and oh man, I can't wait. And I opened it up, and I had like 5 minutes to spare, so I thought I'd give it 5 minutes. But I don't know, like the first 5 minutes, because it's a bit more complex than I expected, I thought I could just jump in and play. I kind of struggled, and because I've done that like 3 times now, I don't really know what I'm doing, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm kind of at a stage where I'm sort of still half following the end of a tutorial, but I don't remember the first half, and I'm like, can I restart this? Can I do it again to learn what I'm supposed to be doing here?
I think you could create a new vault if you want.
I might have to do that because I'm at a stage where I just didn't put in enough effort and time at the very start to really appreciate, I don't know, what was needed from the game, or from me in the game. So, in the meantime, I've got it installed, and I'm kind of just afraid to open it. I've been put off, really, because of the fact that I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't want to go and mess it up. Because I don't know about you, when it comes to RPGs and stuff, if I get like one stat wrong, like say I'm playing like a warrior class, and then I give myself an intelligence stat by mistake, it makes me want to restart the whole game. I'm like, I have now, forevermore, that will cumulatively affect my playtime, and I'll technically be less efficient every single fight, and so on and so forth. I'm really, really stupid with that kind of stuff. So I'm a bit concerned, you know? I'm concerned that that's going to happen, I'm not going to enjoy it because of that. So I've just been putting off. So I'm just going to get back to it another time and see if I can play it another time.
It is hard with games like that, and the problem with anything mobile is that you want to be able to drop it and come back to it at a whim and not have to worry too much about being stuck in it, right? That's what makes mobile games kind of convenient and good, because otherwise the whole point of mobile is you want to be able to jump away. I'm in line or I'm in the bathroom, whatever, you're playing it, and at a moment's notice switch. I got a phone call, I got a message I need to respond, or it's time for me to get to wherever else I'm going. Yeah. And so it's just, you want to be able to do all that.
Exactly. So, we'll wait and see. I'll try it out, and hopefully... I'll tell you what, I promise I'll try it in the next week while I'm traveling at some point properly and spend a good half hour on it. It's only fair, after all. So I can actually give a proper review, because it's not fair on you guys, since a lot of people here will be looking forward to hearing something about whether it's worth getting and how, you know, strategies of how to play and the likes, and my thoughts on it as we go. So what else have I been up to? I actually picked up Hearthstone a little bit again.
What?
Not for PC, but for my phone, just because it's something I can jump into and play straight away, unlike other games that I may have recently gotten. So I've been playing around with Hearthstone again. I really like the Tavern Brawl mode. So much fun, man. I love those silly little tweaks you can do to it. I love those little things. This week, or at the moment, I think it actually ends today, is the mode where every time you cast a spell, the card mana cost that the spell cost, for example, say you do Flame Strike for 6 or whatever as a mage, you summon an equally, what's the word? Equally... same cost, right?
Okay, gotcha. So another thing,
the same sort of cost. So a 6 mana cost minion will be summoned at the same time. So my strategy is kind of the obvious one, which is I am going to just have as many spells as possible. So I went mage, and with a few cards that I'd left over, a few spaces I'd spare, I could either go anti-mage to hinder the other person from casting their spells, or I could go more pro-mage, pro-spell stuff, so I did the latter. So that when I cast a spell, I don't get just the benefit from the game type, but also from other cards as well. So, for example, Mana Worm gets like +1 damage if you use a spell. You have the freaking dragon dude who casts 2 damage randomly to the enemy. if you cast a spell. So I've got a couple of those sort of things, and together, oh man, they are powerful. They are really nice. It's probably a deck I'm more confident about than I have ever been, to be honest, because I'd
Interesting.
say I win 4 out of 5 games. It's been so much fun. I find the one counter is Priest, but regardless, been really enjoying that. I love Hearthstone. It's great fun, really good game. I've been playing LOL here and there,
Okay.
but only here and there. I've only played 2 games of ARAM and 1 standard. I kicked ass in every single one though, which is good fun.
Nice.
Some things have changed drastically. I also played an AI game. Ash, now her frost arrows, her Q, like are always on now for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's right. That changed. And now when you hit it, it's like,
It gives you attack speed and stuff. It's weird. It's just something I'm not used to at all, considering that was like the base champion I should know everything about,
well,
right?
I think they modified that because at some point her mana became it doesn't matter with her,
Yeah.
so it didn't matter if you left it on at some point. It just transitioned over. So they're trying to make it more of a reliable, like you when you would use this in a situational thing. I think they've actually turned or changed most of the activatable type things that you just toggle on and off. For most characters, other than like Mundo's fire around him, I think still is a straight keep it active.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, I've been enjoying playing around with LoL a little bit. I've not played with other people. It's still quite active. My friends list is still full of people online and playing, which I wasn't expecting. I keep thinking people don't play it because I don't play it, which doesn't make sense.
League is still the biggest game out there today. I see more and more new people keep jumping into it, so it's kind of like, oh shoot. But it's also crazy because even with this latest one, like I haven't seen if they've released the update to Gangplanker yet, not yet. But when they
I
redid
don't know
the
what's going
ARAM
on
map,
with that.
because they
But I
redid
noticed-
the ARAM map to make it pirate themed instead of
okay.
and they were doing something in the lore essentially because in the original part, Misfortune killed Gangplank in the lore.
Yeah,
And
that's
so-
weird. So, is he getting removed as a champion, or is he coming back as a
No,
ghost? What's going on?
he's coming back, but we haven't seen specifically. I think they're just trying to do a rework on him again, but they're also doing it with the lore. And so we'll see. We'll see how it all ends up. But that's
Well, that's
I mean,
pretty
it's
interesting.
what Riot has done so much to keep the game fresh and to keep doing new stuff with it. It just doesn't really surprise me that it's still being played in so many, because the active accounts I still think is over like 50 million around the world.
Oh, jeez, that's mental. That is
Yeah,
absolutely
so-
mental.
When you talk about people playing, I mean, the challenge is a lot of us have stopped playing consistently, and
Yeah.
come back every once in a while. But there's a ton of new people who keep getting into it. I keep running into more and more people that and do League of Legends. I see it when I go to conventions and see how much cosplay there is around it. It just keeps growing, and all of a sudden you're just saying like everybody knows what League of Legends is. So, yep.
Jeez. Well, it's a damn good game, and it's something I really should get back into, to be honest. So, yep, I've been touching on that again a little bit, but not crazy amounts.
Okay. Would it be all right if we took a break now?
Sure.
Because it's past that time, and I'm really, because of the heat up here, need to find something to drink. And so, hopefully that you're okay with that, and you can come back and finish us off with a little more
No,
geek
no problem,
cred
no
after
problem.
the break. All right, so with that, you're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. We're going to listen to one of the songs from Molly Lewis, because we love her, and this is one of the songs that I think is surprisingly poignant. If you listen to all the lyrics, I love what she does with it. So just throwing that out there. But all right, you've been listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com, and we will be right back after this.
and today our many states may stand united. 'Twas a heavy price we had to pay, and I hope our efforts don't go unrequited. Time has not been kind, we lost thousands of boys, I lost 2 of my own. North and South combined in an orgy of violence like none we have known. Such a war was fought, brothers fought against brothers on my command. But was it for naught when the slaves are all free in a more perfect land? My first term went by so fast, and so far I'm thankful for the years I've had. The war is now in the past, and this play really isn't that bad.
You're listening to Show X on btwproductions.com.
Haha, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And it looks like for anybody on the YouTube stream, hopefully that fixed, although a little late, so again, I'll probably have to come back and edit audio. But hopefully that fixed what was not being pushed out, as I found that one of the routes it was going for my music, and I think I've got it sorted now. So let's see. To test it again, and Ken, are you back? This is what happens when I don't have him on the video, so I can't see him. Darn pictures. But let's see. If I hit a drop in, so anyone that's listening to the video stream, hopefully you'll be able to tell me. If I go...
Objective complete!
So hopefully that actually went out on the video stream this time. See, slowly working all the kinks out again to make sure that we have it all running. Oh, there he is. Look at that.
Yeah, I thought it was on your end, but my microphone did that thing where it forgot that it exists. So
Yeah,
they had an existential crisis.
Let's say Yetis seem to do that on occasion. How odd is that? Ah, well. Let's see. All right, so, sir, as we were continuing on with your geek cred, please, where were we at?
Indeed. Where were we? Warlock 2. So, I've still been enjoying that. I recently discovered the mod community within Warlock 2 is... I'm so used to being spoiled with mods. Like, when Fallout mods and Skyrim mods.
Oh, yeah. If there's mods, we usually have lots to choose from.
Yeah, like, I'm absolutely spoiled for choice where there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of mods to choose from. Warlock 2... I've managed to find 3 mods that I've found of a standard that is acceptable to install.
Okay.
It's not too new a game, so I can't really blame it on that. It's just a group of people that actually play it and mod it, I suppose. Just a small community, which is a shame because it's a great game. So it makes me kind of sad to see that. But at the same time, I'm glad that there is at least some available and that it is in the Steam Workshop and not just left to rot. So, ups and downs. I installed one mod which is called... Jeez, I need to look at the exact... Open up my Steam here. Let's see. Yeah, I love the fact they've got the Steam Workshop attached. That's a great thing. It's really a... kind of a minimum for games these days, in my opinion.
It makes finding mods amazingly easy, because especially for smaller games or games that can really benefit from just tiny mods... It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a limit to what Steam can do, or what it'll let through, and that's one of the challenges we always run into with Fallout. But for the most, or Skyrim, any Bethesda game, when people make 2 or 3, like gig or whatever type mods versus just your normal little couple hundred megs.
Yeah, exactly. So there could be a huge, massive, effectively an expansion pack, right? Or it could be something, in theory, quite minor in comparison,
Like all the naked armor mods. I mean...
yeah, just remove things. So I've installed 5 mods in total. The first one, very small, no auto-build farm. So basically it's like Civ, where you have, you make a city and then you have some things generated, like a barracks or whatever, occasionally with certain races. And with the undead race, you automatically generate a farm as one of your structures, which is a complete waste because undead don't eat. They survive on mana. They just exist through your mana. So it's just ridiculous that is even a thing. So it's pretty cool that there's a mod that exists that removes that that forces you to have a farm, so you don't need to necessarily have extra food at the start, and you can get something else instead. So it's pretty sweet. fused ones, and yeah, the fused ones is one that I really like. So it's kind of like a robotic mod. The idea is that at the end of Warlock 1, there's different victory conditions to win the game, right? You can defeat all the other great mages, the other players, or you can, I don't know, conquer all the Holy Lands, or you can defeat the big enemy, the Dremor, who's sort of like a alien race, kind of like demons, I guess. And finally, you can cast the Unity spell. The Unity spell is just basically you mastered all the spells, and you've unlocked the biggest spell, which lets you become like a god. So what happens in the lore is the end of Warlock 1, the main character, called Mabelius the Hat or something, travels out to destroy the alien race, and he takes out the head honcho, right? Like, he takes out the big bad guy. And he starts to return home thinking he's going to be like this big hero. And it turns out that while he was away, somebody else cast the Unity spell. And so he can no longer return to his homeland. Because there's this big evil dude now in charge of everything. So it's an interesting storyline. But what this mod relies on is, it says, as the Unity spell was cast, there was this harvester golem that created by a dittery old mage to help harvesting wheat, right? Problem is, he made it badly due to his like dementia and his old age. And so when he created this thing, he left out a couple things, and it made it very easy to be susceptible to other magic. So when the Unity spell was cast, it gained sentience, and decided to improve upon its function of harvesting. It'd be best if it upgraded all the villagers to also be better. So in their sleep, it made them all have be part robot. So it basically made everybody cyborgs while they slept, and they woke up to find themselves much more efficient, and they don't age, and they're much faster, and so on and so forth. And he decided that the best way to make his task even more efficient would be to convert everybody into a robot-type person. So it's a pretty cool idea for a racial mod. So you kind of go around taking over places, and you make more robot dudes, and you're not too overpowered, but it's good fun.
You're just Cybermen.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's not too overpowered, and it's not too crazy, it's just a different race. But alongside that race that you've installed with this mod, there's another race called the CT10 Destroyer or whatever. Basically, when your dude, that harvester dude, became awakened, one of the guys he turned into a cyborg decided it'd be much more efficient to just destroy everything else. And he became like a rogue AI. So it's sort of like a separate faction again.
So, Ultron.
Yeah, effectively. But instead of a capital city, when you start off with that race, you just go him. This sort of kind of OP character. He levels up though, so he's not like, he starts off big enough to take over neutral towns so you can get your first city, but you get it later on than anybody else. But you also have this kind of powerful character that levels up and eventually becomes insane. So it's pretty cool. It's been good fun trying to play it with like effectively kind of Warcraft 3 style with like an Uther character or something, right? Instead of just having the town. So it's a nice take on it. I've been really enjoying it. The mods are pretty fun. Got a couple others that aren't really worth mentioning, to be honest. But that was the most fun one. Really enjoyed that. Really smart idea. The only thing is it's not got all the skins, so you just look like a dirty old mage walking about when you're like a big robot, or what you should be. So they've got some graphics in there, but not all of them. So I recommend it. Warlock's lots of fun. It's basically Civ. If you're sick of Civ, get Warlock. It's the same thing, but with more magic, and magic is fun. I like magic, so try it out. It's definitely worth picking up, I would say. What else have I been playing? Clicker Heroes. Yay! I've been enjoying that. Clicker Heroes is a nice little game where game that I've put a ridiculous amount of hours into just because I just leave it running in the background and go back to it occasionally, like I've been doing this show actually. It just sits there. I slowly play it. I've got 75 hours on my PC and probably about 30 on my phone.
Oh jeez.
It's just so easy to leave running and just go over and update occasionally.
It's a pretty screensaver.
It's a really fun spreadsheet to play. That's
Yeah.
basically what it is. It's just playing with formulas and trying to work out the most efficient way to improve yourself. I enjoy it. It's good fun. And it's free, so check it out. What else? I had one more thing. Ugh, I just closed that tab. Thrones. So I'm going to go and see... I'll pull up the description here. I'm going to go see a play on Wednesday called Thrones Musical.
Interesting.
From the twisted minds of Baby Wants Candy, it got 5 stars from The Scotsman, 5 star from What'sTheStage.com, 5 star from Times Out, and 5 star from 3 Weeks. Ridiculously young, handsome men battling White Walkers, ridiculously beautiful women riding fire-breathing dragons, and everyone trying to either kill or shag each other. Thrones is a racy, gory, hilarious parody of HBO's phenomenally successful Game of Thrones. Whip smart writing, a catchy original music score, super special effects, nudity? Maybe. Laughs? For sure. Brothers and sisters effing? No comment. Appropriate for 14 plus. If you don't mind explaining a few things to your 14-year-old after the show.
That is a great description.
Yeah, it looks pretty funny. The reviews look good for it as well. I'm pretty excited to go and see this on Wednesday. Me and the missus are going to win a little date. Because we barely get to see each other just now, so we kind of got to force it occasionally with dates like this.
That's important.
So I'll report back and see how that goes, but it looks like it's going to be absolutely hilarious. And considering the reviews, it looks like it's doing very, very well. So I look forward to seeing it and telling everybody how it goes. But with that, that's my geek cred.
Okay, well that actually sounds very cool and interesting. So nicely done. See, there was something I think you had reminded me of that, but I'll let it go. I was going to say one last thing I'd have, but anyhow, that's good because it's time then for us to switch over and talk about things a little more newsworthy. And so let's go ahead, and I have to switch that one over there and say it is now time for...
Technology, news, and more. Today on the Geekoscope.
Haha! So, today on the Geekoscope. And I was also going to say, hopefully I fixed, and I'll know, Ken, you might be able to confirm whether you're now hearing the deluxe setup or not.
Oh, yes, I can now. It's all fixed.
Yes, so I figured out my output from Sam was going the wrong direction. So now that should have fixed the YouTube as well, so people should hear the drop-ins and everything. See, as we go further, we finally get it more and more almost professional. Anyhow, so, continue on, it is time for news! And the first one I want to bring up, let's see, there's several in here like always. Yeah. Okay, so, real quick one for people who are fans of old Nintendo games and such, just a bit of news that came out there. You okay there, Ken?
Nintendo.
Well, this is old, back when they were good, no? But, for those who might be curious, there is an article that came out from IGN that says, there is a new Boy and His Blob coming. So it says that, let's see, Entertainment is now, Majesco Entertainment is now focusing exclusively on downloadable and mobile titles, including a new game called Glue, and a new entry into A Boy and His Blob. Let's see, the outgoing CEO, Jesse Sutton, wrote a letter to shareholders that Majesco Entertainment, in an effort to become profitable, has appointed David Rector as the new CEO. And going forward, it says that the new IP they're coming out with, like Glue and the next A Boy and His Blob, both of which company expect to launch within the next 2 fiscal quarters. The games will be released, quote, on all next-gen consoles and in some cases PC, which that would actually be good. Why are you egging this? Boy and the Blob was considered a good game by pretty much everyone I know who played it.
Nobody cares about your fiscal quarters. Give real numbers
real
and
dates?
dates, please.
Okay,
Yes.
fair. I will give you that one. So anyhow, just throwing that out there is one that I think some people might be interested, because that's one of those old games that I've only ever heard fun things about. Let's see. This one I just thought was kind of entertaining, and then I'll pass off to you, sir. So this is that one of those subjects that I've always felt was kind of annoying in the world, and that is copyright trolls. So one of the challenges we run into is, well, it's just like something we even got hit with whenever we run the show and we play certain songs or something in the prequel or something. All of a sudden, the magic automatic beasts of the interweb come crawling in and attacking us to say that we've done something wrong, even if we sometimes have permission. So this one comes, unfortunately, from Kotaku, but it says, copyright trolls get videos pulled for using the word pixels.
Ugh.
So the video Pantone Pixels, published in 2011, was an independent art project that used a swath of colors to illustrate a picture of the creator's parents. Last week, and this is a week and a half ago or so, Vimeo took it down. Turns out it was too similar to Pixels, the 2015 movie starring Adam Sandler. In a statement, Vimeo said it's restoring the videos. Said that late last week, Vimeo removed certain video pursuant to a DMCA takedown notice filed by Entura International, claiming that the videos contain copyrighted content from the film Pixels. After users informed us that their videos did not contain any Pixels content, we reached out to Entura. Entura has since withdrawn its takedown notice, and as a result, we have now restored the affected videos. But essentially, this goes back to one of the problems with the way some of these things are handled on the internet, which is they do it with far too broad a swath and too big of just like an automatic reaction to something. And I'm sorry, but the word pixel, let alone multiple pixels used in anything, is not copywritten. Oh my god. So Entura International and Columbia Pictures, you done effed up. You are ridiculous. Because this affected, and there's a list in the article where it says there were multiple things that got affected. Pixels, Pantone Pixels, the HD trailer, which, that's one of the other funny things about this. Let's see, Detuned Pixels, there's a bunch of articles that hit, including the official Pixels trailer for the movie. Also got pulled.
What?
Yep.
That is, oh my god, that's so stupid.
So,
oh my god, that's hilariously stupid.
Yep.
What the hell?
Well, it just showed that the company's obviously, the company that was doing the takedown notice, because there's often, and I've seen it with multiple types of companies, it happens all the time with entertainment type things, the groups that are assigned to watch, manage, and keep track of what properties are being effective and do the legal claims, so you have that whole group of people that are lawyers usually, are completely separate from all the people who actually make and do anything with that material. And so you get this disconnect between the two. And unfortunately, that turns into things like this, where, they actually affected their own information, their own official trailer, and got it yanked. Because they are insane and didn't take the time to do a targeted response.
Yeah, it's always a problem with big companies. Like I said before, when I worked at Hewlett-Packard, when we had an issue with a printer, and I thought, I don't know who to call to fix this. And I looked around with the internal stuff, no help. I ended up having to try and get in touch through our own customer services for external people trying to get this fixed. And they were like trying to quote me prices and stuff, and I was like, dude, I am your company. I am here with you. We might even be in the same building. I just need some help here, man. I mean,
you should totally. You should totally. You should totally have said, yeah, no, let's sign the contract. Just sign it let's just sign it those letters of the company and have it go and see what happens. And send it to your own, internal charging department or something. That is insane.
Ridiculous. But, copyright trolls, dude, are the worst people on earth. I mean, actual trolls. This I don't know if these guys are actually trolls. It just seems like a mess up on...
This is like the lawyers doing it to blanket a response, and thus hitting themselves. Because that's an equal problem, right? I have a challenge with copyright trolls, the people who will take some kind of legal action saying they were the first to create something. In fact, I think that was... I don't know if that was part of the article or not. But essentially where it comes up and says, yes, because the term pixel was just created in the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Things like that where it's like, come on, guys. Pixels have existed since the concept of displaying an individual point of light on a screen, and maybe even before that. Yeah. So it's just like, whoever enforces these things, you'd think they'd have a moniker of common sense, but heaven forbid you do that in industry. So yeah, I'm just annoying as heck, and in a way serves them right, but I wish more people would lose their crap over stuff like this and tell the companies they need to be a little more aware.
It's as soon as people drop when people go into the company, you know how when you go into a company, you sort of drop your personal face and you pick up your business face, right? And you change your mindset and you try to think like the company. It's like sometimes they go too far. It gets to the point where they don't even see things like humans anymore. They see them as corporations, and that's when evil can happen, and stupidity. It's like they just go in there and they forget all the things they've learned about common sense and pick up corporate values instead that are sent through daily emails. It's just the most sickening world ever, and I'm never going back into it.
Good luck.
Can't make me. You can't make me.
Uh-huh.
Man. Not that that was a personal vendetta there or anything. I have like 20 articles here.
Yeah, pick one.
Lots. Okay.
Give it to us.
The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, which I've still not played, but I'm dying to. It looks awesome.
I haven't played it either.
It's just gotten mod support.
Yes.
With a mod kit. So that's pretty exciting. The kit can modify several aspects of the game thanks to texture import and export. In-game objects can be changed and new models can be substituted into the world in place of existing ones. Users can also get access to script files allowing things like item statistics to be altered. The mod kit can be downloaded from nexusmods.com, where you can also download the existing mods for the game. So that's really cool and about time, to be honest. I don't know why the game's been out for so long and it hasn't had this before. I'm glad it finally does. You can finish Fallout 4 without any crafting. I'm not going to read the article, because there's no point. Like, that kind of summarizes all there.
Says it all.
Point being, you don't need to go in there and become, like, a baker, right? You can sorry, that's a terrible example. You could go in there and just play the game, right? You don't have to actually, stop. You can make it an action game if you want to. Or you can slow down and improve your character as you go. It's up to you. Yeah. It's good that it has the ability to do as you wish. I like that.
Well, the nice thing is, I mean, that's kind of been the case of all of what Fallout has had, or Bethesda games as a whole, is that they've had it where, you know, essentially you could always choose how you finished it up, right? Because even in Skyrim stuff, they maybe would show you, like, one quest where they would show you how to craft, but that was it. You never had to go beyond that, just where they introduced it to you. I almost never crafted anything myself, and then I know people who crafted full sets of, you know, dragon scale armor. And so it's neat that they're continuing that trend. I think the reason that article came out is because they touted how dynamic and amazing their crafting system is going to be and how many things you can create. That I think people were concerned that since they put all that effort in, you mean, wait, now I'm going to have to craft? Because there are people like me who just don't bother. You know, not saying that it's a bad thing or anything, it's not my thing.
Fallout 4, the tradesman.
Yeah, exactly.
The NPC edition.
Yeah, it's like, I just plug in and I just have a shop. And all day I go around and...
I just wait for customers from Fallout 3 to come in, and then I offer them terrible deals. Well, it's got loads of stuff here. You mentioned Skyrim, let's do that. Skyrim's sequel won't be discussed for a very long time. Speaking to Jewel Shockers at Gamescom, Pete Hines explained the company is focusing all its energies on the upcoming Fallout 4, with it looking like a very long time before the team even talks about what its next project will be. Hines goes on to explain that Bethesda Game Studios usually focuses on one title at a time and doesn't like to split its team, which is a kind of a good thing. It seems to work. But considering Fallout 4 is still being finished off, with mod support due to be focused on next, it is not surprising that Fallout 6 is not on the horizon. This is before we can even think about the possibility of Fallout 4 DLC. At this year's E3, Hines told us that the team hasn't really grown since it made Skyrim, and it doesn't want to get locked into alternating between Fallout and Elder Scrolls titles either, meaning there's no guarantee the follow-up to Fallout 4 will be set in Tamriel at all. For now, it looks like anyone wanting their Elder Scrolls fix will have to wait. Look at the Elder Scrolls on... yeah, you're fun. Good one, IGN. Nice try. Nice try. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Go play some ESO.
Go play that.
Yeah, please.
The only cool thing about ESO was the dragon that you got when you got the Collector's Edition. That was it. That's the only cool thing, is the dragon statue you got.
Yes, ESO, not my thing. Leave it at that.
Right, sir.
Alright, so just as a quick in-between, you got notice in the IRC that we got a copy mail. So, real quickly, as she states in the IRC, it's a short one, but it says, "Hello, Dr. Lord Reverend and Bachelor of Science Kenneth Neal Reed II, and Mr. Wayne. Here is my geek cred. Yes, it's Nintendo. Yes, these are our children's toys. Yes, I am one of the gaming ancients that buys nostalgia. Life is good. Much love, Copy. Thank you very much for that. It is
Indeed, I've been
always
thoroughly
good.
enjoying watching your progress copy via Snapchat.
Oh yeah,
keep it going.
your shelf for amiibos by itself, that is all kinds of cred. Creating your own geek with that to display all your amiibos in such a tight and concise way is pretty awesome.
Indeed. Very cool. Sir, you have an article.
I do, and this one is coming for all of us who love all things Star Wars. So, an article was just recently released because Disney here in the U.S. has been having a major event. Disney 23, I think is what it was called. Yes, D23. And at D23, Disney has announced a ton of new attractions coming to its parks in California and Florida. Saturday at Fan Event D23, among them are several new Star Wars experiences, including a launch bay, an update to its popular Star Tours, and Star Wars themed lands. So, Disney CEO Bob Iger took the stage at the company's biannual fan event Saturday to unveil these different pieces. So the main ones that are coming up, let's see, okay, quote, "We are creating a jaw-dropping new world that represents our largest single themed land expansion ever. These new lands at Disneyland and Walt Disney World will transport guests to a whole new Star Wars planet, including an epic Star Wars adventure that puts you in the middle of a climactic battle between the First Order and the Resistance. The land will include two big attractions. The first will be that one that's a battle between the two. The other will put park guests in control of Han Solo's Millennium Falcon in a, quote, customized secret mission." So essentially, and one of them is also that they're adjusting the original old favorite Space Mountain, and they're now renaming it Hyperspace Mountain. At which point it's going to be it's going to include experience now where you're going to be flying through on the same roller coaster essentially, but with a lot of Star Wars themes and things around it. So it's going to feel like you're in a Star Wars battle.
Okay, that is pretty cool, but it depends how much they modify it, really. I mean,
Well,
it seems like a bit of a cop-out, doesn't it?
Well, so here's the thing. You know, you can't get rid of Space Mountain. It's been there since the beginning of Disney. But they have, over the years, restructured it, changed it, and tried changing things up and down about it. And so, to add it with a Star Wars theme, I'm in there. I'm kind of curious. Leo, you say, ugh, Star Wars. Are you that against Star Wars? What has Star Wars done? Well, okay, I won't say that. Star Wars has done a lot of things to people and a lot of negative things, but at the same time, I have hope. I continue to tell people I have hope for the new Star Wars IPs to actually be good. So we shall see, but maybe? So I do understand that.
I also agree with that, yeah. All right. World of Warcraft Legion is embracing the past to secure its future, says the IGN, who are totally not getting paid by Blizzard to say that. It's been just over a week since Blizzard announced World of Warcraft Legion, and just under a week since I caved, says the author, and decided to reactivate my account. I doubt I was alone. World of Warcraft will always have a special place in many gamers' hearts, and the reaction to Legion has been largely positive. I would actually agree with that. Certainly the in-game buzz I've seen since jumping back in has been one of optimism and excitement. It's a good thing too, as the most recent expansion, WoD, seems to have evoked a rather mixed reaction in the player base. Upon launching in November 2014, WoW's 5th expansion saw the biggest leap in subscriber numbers in the game's history, only for the biggest drop to follow 6 months later. Though it's hard to pin down why this happened. That's for sure. It's a very complex thing seeing these kind of numbers. I imagine there's many
everybody gets excited for something, starts playing it like, yay, and then goes, oh, it's the same thing I've always seen, and leaves. Not
But
that
there's new
complex.
No, that's not the point. The point is there's new subscribers. That's the interesting thing. Not,
Well, the
not
new
returning
subscribers,
ones.
no, new
Ones.
subscribers is just everybody hears the hype and they're like, oh, let's go check that out. They come,
Sure.
they check it out, and then everybody leaves.
But then who was the left? Was it the same people? Was it the old players? That sort of thing's all very interesting because it can really define what is wrong with that game and how it can be fixed in the future, you know? So, don't get me wrong, WoD was not a good expansion. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying the stats are interesting regardless. And our quote here says, "We can't think about sub-numbers on a regular basis, and we can't make decisions based on that." That is a stupid thing to say.
We don't want to pay attention to all the people who stopped playing our game because, why would you do that?
They're just lying. They're just lying. They're definitely concentrating on that. Of course they are. That's where their wages come from.
Yes, it's where all of that company's money comes from.
And Bobby Kotick sitting at the top, rubbing his hands, looking at them every day. I bet he's got like a graph on his office that just has like real-time updates.
How much money you're making per minute from all these people playing WoW.
Yep. Stardock, a company I'm quite a fan of. I've always liked Stardock. I really do like the kind of work they do. It's modding of Windows OS. It's really nice.
Gotcha.
Stardock brings a traditional start menu to Windows 10. They've announced the official release of Star 10, a program that brings back more traditional-looking start menu to Windows 10. It's going to be available from Windows 10 was made available from July 29th, and its start menu has been changed to be a more app-focused, with the search bar having been moved to the main taskbar. Star 10 brings back a more familiar look and feel to the start menu, also brings back folders, which replace the current alphabetized list of programs, as well as putting the search function back in the menu.
I definitely say that I dislike how under the little menu bar, it just, when you hit File Explorer, or no, actually the All Apps one, I guess, it just shows them in alphabetical form, which is annoying as all get out. It's like,
wait. You don't want to open up Adobe Reader? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's the whole, like, I had them organized in folders that were really easy to go click, like, I want games, and under games, here's my games, and not go through a whole list of all the massive amounts of things I have installed. That's so dumb.
Nope, I don't even do that. I don't use my mouse if I can help it. So I usually hit Windows button, then start typing what I want.
Well, and that's part of the challenge too, because when the regular search bar on it, like it works in both, but it doesn't always find what I expect it to, because it's both a web search and it's a local search. And so I'm still adjusting to some of the Windows 10 stuff, and I can't say I love it now. So the idea that Stardock's actually bringing back something that's like, here, yes, not everyone likes to where it's gone. Here's a way to do everything that you used to do in the old look. That's pretty smart.
And it costs $5, which is actually a great thing. Now, hear me out here. There are so many companies out there that would make you subscribe for this sort of crap, or they'd make you install other software as a forced thing. No, Stardock are actually just straying straight up. They're just saying, hey, there's a 30-day free trial, go try it out. If you like it, it's $5. That's it, done. $5, then done for life. You are sorted, and you'll get updates as well. Sorted. Brilliant. That is traditional and correct, and the way I like things to be done. So, good for you for keeping the price low and accessible to all. $5 isn't anything crazy. Also, I wanted to mention, we're talking about just generally going around Windows. Is there a term for the philosophy on life where you're so lazy that you're not lazy? As in,
okay.
I'm so lazy that I don't like pressing, like whenever I finish going on a computer, right? I don't like, well, both for Kitten's sake. Probably the music's dead. No, it's back. Okay, never mind. It's just Skype being weird. For example, when Kitten wants to use a computer, it's kind of a bother that we both use Gmail, we both use Facebook, so on and so forth. So we have to continually log each other out. That means you have to log out of my LastPass add-on as well, because it'll automatically log back in straight away. So it's all a big pain to do. It takes like, I don't know, 14 seconds every single time for each of us. Bit of a pain. So what I've done personally is I made a script, which took me hours to make. But it clears my search history entirely, it clears the cache on my computer, and it hits Windows L for me automatically by running VB script as well.
Yeah,
so
you just take all the repetitive actions that you would need to do this kind of interaction, logging out back in, and you scripted it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's the kind of laziness that's extremely active. I mean, I don't even know if it's going to save me time in the long run. Like, it's saving me time, but not necessarily overall. So it's active lazyism or something. Active lazyism is what I'm going to name that if it's not already named. Anyway, I don't know why I failed to bring that up, but I thought it was...
Well, it's funny, that whole concept to me isn't being lazy so much as it's trying to make certain things efficient in your life. It's why I run certain programs to either like fill in logins at certain sites, stuff like that, because yes, I can manually type it in every time I go to whatever sites, but it's a lot easier if have it password protected under a single thing that once I activate, I can just go to sites and click, log me in,
Yep.
and it works great. I don't see why I mean, that's just being efficient. It's pressing time forward immediately to give you time back every other time you'd have to do it in the future.
Agreed. And I think it's also a kind of a programming trait that I've developed in real life, because in programming, if you have any code that you think could be reused, you should make it as general as possible. Then then make it reusable, right? So you can just sort of say, instead of saying, I don't know how to make this really smart. Instead of making a key and a lock where you need a key for every single individual lock, if you can make your key work for each lock in the house, it's a lot more efficient than getting 7 different keys. So that's kind of what I try to apply with my real life as well, so that if possible, I can make something so that I can reuse it over and over instead of just once and then have to make a new solution next time, then that's a good policy for life as well. Gamescom 2015. Blizzard were asked on the possibility of a World of Warcraft 2.
What?
Blizzard
Haven't we like burned that bridge by now? What?
Blizzard responded by saying there are no plans to create a sequel to its highly successful MMO World of Warcraft. Cool,
Ever.
Thanks for that. Like, I don't even know why that's an article. I mean, I thought it was interesting just to see, because it was very, it was a clickbait. It was like World of Warcraft 2. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's exactly what that was. So when you click that page, how many articles or how many advertisements were there around it?
I wouldn't know. I automatically blocked them all.
Ad blocking. Because that would tell you a little bit about what they were doing there.
Actually, beautiful little tool for those who don't know as well, just on our side thing here. U-block, as in just the letter U and then the word block, is absolutely fantastic, because what it effectively is, it's an extension for Google Chrome and maybe other browsers. It's just the same as AdBlock. It's just as useful, just as good. It'll block all the ads for you. You won't see them. However, the difference is when you go to VTWProductions.com, a site that obviously you want to support, and having ads just displayed to you means that you give us revenue, right? Like, you're effectively giving us a few pennies.
This essentially lets you individually choose places you do or don't want ads to show up?
No. AdBlock does that already. The beautiful thing about uBlock is it's got this great background script where it searches through the code and it says, here is the bit that sends back a confirmation saying it has been seen or it has been clicked on.
Oh.
Let's hit yes to both already. So every time I go to any website, I've been doing this for about a year now with this extension, every website I go to gets told I've clicked on every single ad, so that they all get revenue. So the great thing is, when I visit IGN, and obviously I do thank, while they don't always write great articles, a lot of them are interesting and they're a good news source. So in general, they do deserve the money from the revenue, but I also don't want to see the ads. And this is a legally grey zone, which is brilliant. So they get all the revenue of all the ads being clicked, and I don't see any of the ads. It is a great middle point, so I'm being both ethical to an extent. I'm helping them out, helping me out, and only the advertisers really get hurt here, so...
Interesting.
Good and bad.
Interesting.
So I do highly recommend it. uBlock, very nice little thing, especially on VTWProductions.com. Check it when you go to our website there. Otherwise, just don't block our ads, because they're known. There's no noise. They're not obtrusive. They kind of blend in. They're not there annoyingly. So otherwise, safe. Add us to the safe list, because we are safe. We don't put things there that are virusy. Although, do you remember when they used to happen to Warcraft Radio all the time? People freaking script kiddies, man. They used to always inject crap back there.
Yep.
That was before templates were made just as basics to not allow that, though. So anyway,
how we've advanced.
Yes,
one of the quick things I want to make sure I say, since Kuro's in here and listening now, is to tell him he needs to we need to chat at some point here about a project that we need to do for future conventions, which involves RFID tags. And I'll leave that to him before I forget. One of my friends here in town, the one Jackie that I was walking with, had a conversation with me about some of the things she's done in the past, and there was a really neat idea that came out that I could do some cool stuff with RFID. Kind of like, because what you had said last week, or last time we were on, about the cheap little tags you can buy, that you can enable remote through location stuff.
That was NFC, but yeah.
Well, yeah, so same concept, but yes, those ones. whatever ones like that, because they're cheap enough, and there's a really neat project I think that goes along with that. Anyhow, so while I bring up this article, which Comcast admits its 300 gig data cap serves no technical purpose.
What?
So say what
that, but why are they admitting it?
So say what you will about Comcast and their customer support, but the company does provide the fastest internet speeds amongst all nationwide ISPs in the United States. As was highlighted earlier in the month, Comcast Xfinity delivers an average download speed of 104 megabit per second alongside with an average upload speed of 12.7. That's great and all, but with Comcast simultaneously implementing a rigid 300 gig data cap on its users, the company has naturally been accused of teasing users with download speeds that can quickly eat them into 300 gig threshold and subsequently result in fines for going over. Curious about the rationale behind the data cap? Is it technical? Is it arbitrary? A Twitter account last week asked Jason Livingood, Comcast's VP of Internet Services, to chime in on the issue. Livingood perhaps surprisingly responded with an honest and candid answer. In short, he said he didn't know the underlying reason, though his answer effectively confirmed that the data cap limitation has nothing to do with improving the overall user experience. So, they have pictures of the tweets, and it comes in and says, asking Jay Livingood, it says, serious question, why are Comcast's caps set so low compared to the speeds they're being sold at? 100 megabit per second can hit 300 gigabytes in 6 hours-ish. Responded, it says, no idea. I'm involved on the engineering side to manage the measurement systems, but don't weigh in on the business policies. And so basically saying, as an engineering person, doesn't have a clue as to why they would have that cap. It says, so is this cause for outrage? And the article is saying, not really. Truth be told, Comcast has indicated that more than 98% of its customers don't ever go over the 300 gig cap. Still, given how much data usage has increased in recent years,
don't allow it.
well, it's not even just that. And this is actually what they're saying in the article is exactly why I have a business account. Because it says, given how much data usage has increased in recent years, we're looking at you, Netflix, it's nice to know that the limit is somewhat arbitrary and, one would imagine, subject to change. Because once 4K video streaming becomes commonplace, 300 gigs of data per month will all of a sudden feel like nothing. Also, because more and more people are getting rid of traditional broadcast media, including most of Comcast's customers, or at least more than half, more and more people are consuming all things they do via the internet, and therefore those caps are going to become an issue. So, yeah. But as they're saying, it's just nice to get an actual somewhat specific answer on it.
Somewhat.
I mean, they're still doing it with the legalese speak of, I'm not going to call myself out, but saying he doesn't see from an engineering perspective any reason they would have a cap.
It does make sense, and that's the only thing that should matter is the engineering thing, is the scientific one, so... Yep, I don't back them in any which way for putting on caps for no reason, because it's just harming society as a whole. Poor 15-year-old teenagers downloading terabytes of porn at a time. Poor them! How are they going to survive, guys, with only days and days and days of Blu-ray quality porn?
Hey, people need to remember back to the old GIF time frames when, what was it, GIFs and JPEGs, when you had to get them off of Usenet and you had to watch them download like line by line. And so you had to go through it, queue up a bunch, and then decide if they were good, and you'd be like, oh man, this one's terrible. And kill it before it finished downloading. Oh, the good old-fashioned days of porn. Yep.
Yeah. No, it was Kazaa and then Kazaa Lite for me. I never did use Napster.
Oh gosh, Napster was the best! But Napster was only music, right? And it was so good. I feel bad for people who didn't have access to Napster back in the day when there was also broadband. Because I had that transition when I stopped from, going Napster over dial-up, where I'd have to leave things up for 3-4 days in a row and just kind of on my dial-up, to getting broadband where I could suddenly grab entire hard drives worth of content at a time and just say, give me. Oh, so beautiful. So beautiful.
I remember doing that with Kazaa. The problem is they'd be full of viruses too.
There was things where you had to be aware of what you were grabbing.
Oh yes, oh yes. For general legal standpoints, not even copyright stuff. Just some of the stuff you download by mistake could be really dodgy.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, article, sir.
Oh, let's see. For me, so that was the Comcast one.
I'm stealing one. I'm stealing it.
Yep,
Blizzard
go,
Blizzard will consider Warcraft RTS once StarCraft 2 is done. Blizzard has revealed that its RTS team may indeed revisit the Warcraft franchise once the last chapter of StarCraft 2's story is complete. Speaking to IGN at Gamescom, StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void producer Tim Morton admitted that while the potential is certainly there for StarCraft 3, focusing on all new characters, it's not the only option available to them. This isn't the end of StarCraft, but it's the end of this story for these characters, he said. We don't want to have any specific plans, but I'll say that the universe has so much potential for more stories. Clearly, other stories could be told. It's very rewarding for us to hear that there's demand out there for more RTS content in the Warcraft universe, so once we're done with Void, I think we'll get together as a team and talk about what would inspire us to work on next. There's no question, though, that we'll consider Warcraft, StarCraft, or even new ideas. Anything is possible.
What?
So that's pretty interesting. Warcraft 4,
New
man.
ideas?
Warcraft
New
4
ideas?
could be... Nah, screw new ideas. Warcraft 4 could be the next Fallout 4.
Hey,
you know? That could be
I have
huge.
told multiple times that I think Blizzard could make a good Warcraft 4 that could lead directly into an expansion or upgrade to WoW or a new version of WoW, as well as could lead directly into or with the movie, but we already know the movie's going to be the first interaction between humans and orcs, so that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of Blizzard as well, did you know that Hearthstone garners about $20 million a month? Hearthstone, the free-to-play game, takes in about $20 million a month. Research group Superdata says Hearthstone is dominating the digital CCG space thanks to part in its release on smartphones. The firm claims that that move alone boosted monthly revenues by 31%. If accurate, that figure means Hearthstone makes more, and drum roll please,
oh god.
it makes more than Dota 2, which Superdata reported earlier this year is bringing 18 million per month. Exact figures for Hearthstone has been hard to come by since Activision Blizzard has only bundled its figures with HOTS and Destiny in its financial reports. Altogether, the three games have brought in more than $1 billion.
Yikes.
For
That's
a long
alright,
time,
because, PC gaming's dead, right?
yeah, exactly. For a long time, Hearthstone has offered purchases like single-player adventures, bulk card packs, and individual arena runs. More recently, added more big-ticket items, the alternate hero portraits for $10 each, and a $50 pre-purchase for the upcoming Grand Tournament expansion. I gotta say, when I got that email...
Wait, are you still there? You clipped out on me. Ken? Uh-oh. It looks like we have lost our Scottish compatriot. I don't know what happened. Let me try to kill and bring back the call. Let's see if that might fix anything. Because from what I can tell, I'm still broadcasting, and hopefully you guys can still hear me. Nope, I still don't hear Ken. So, let me comment. So, well, interesting. I don't know what happened there. Sounded like his mic just went away. Ah, yes. That silliness of his USBs on his computer deciding they don't actually want to be USBs. Oh, well. Well, with that, though, let's see, I guess I still have about 4 minutes here. What can I jump into? Oh, see, that one would be... oh, wait.
This webcam, hello.
Oh, God, really? That mic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So for anyone who's ever wondering why we use separate USB mics, condenser mics, stuff like that, here's your opportunity to get a quick thing about why regular web mics sound like arse. So as you were saying, Ken...
Yeah, you just better hope the dog doesn't come through it. He's got claws on a wooden floor, and that tap, tap, tap is going to be like death to all of your headphones. So yeah, we got to the point where I was saying it's $50 for the pre-purchase for the upcoming Grand Tournament expansion for Hearthstone, and I was saying I was pretty excited about that when I first saw the email, until I realized that the $50 price tag was attached to it. That is ridiculous. That is terrible, guys. Smart move. I'm sure it worked well for business, but geez.
As you were saying as to how much money they've been raking in.
Yeah. Hey, they know how to make money. They may not make good games anymore, but they know how to make money. Not that I don't love Hearthstone, just this is a bit excessive. $50, come on. Hearthstone and HOTS have combined to be a boon for Blizzard, even though its latest financial reports revealed further subscriber losses for WoW. Revenues were up overall thanks to the success of its other properties. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Years ago, I was touting how they needed to make something else other than WoW because it was going to eventually die, because it wouldn't last forever. And I said they had other ventures, and finally they did, and I was totally right. I should be their financial analyst. Blizzard hired me for I'll do $500K a year. $500K. That's it. That's pounds, not dollars, by the way. I'll do that. I'll sacrifice my current ongoings for $500K a year. Okay.
That is very kind of you.
Yeah. I have one more article. I'll be very quick.
Well, I'll say very quick because then we got to let things go so that the casuals can take over the stream.
Crackdown 3, Quantum Break, and Scalebound could hit PC. So Microsoft's head of Xbox has admitted there's a small chance that this recently announced raft of Xbox One exclusive could one day be on the PC. I'll leave it at that. There's nothing much more to add. But I loved Crackdown 1 originally. I've not played 2. But I'd love for them to come to the PC because that would
be those are fun games. All right, with that, sir, walk us out of here so we can get things transitioned over.
Alrighty. You have been listening to Show X on VCWProductions.com. Thank you very much, bully. Check us out at patreon.com/ShowX. Give us $1 a month, and we would very much appreciate that. It'll keep us alive and also help us upgrade and improve things as we go along. What else? Check us on twitter.com/VTWShowX or /.dead or /GoX for myself. Also check us on Facebook, facebook.com, search for ShowX there. Check out Alpha Geek Radio's Indiegogo page, it'll be in the show notes. Check out all the links, and thanks to IGN for their help as we always use their articles, at least I do. Thank you for that, IGN. And thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. And thanks for having me on this show, Mr. Wainio.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. And catch all the shows on VTWProductions.com. We'll catch you again next week. Have a good one. And I won't be gaming today because I have to get on a plane. All right. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. See you next zombie.